I don't think if somebody was to say that, oh, if you didn't go to a theatre institute or a film institute, you cannot be an actor. That's a bad way of looking at things. People will get trained. We have great examples. Can creativity be taught? There's a saying, acting cannot be taught, it can be learned. What do these art schools do? They just open up a space of creativity for you. That you can be introduced to various things and you live in an environment of experiment. The greatness of these people is that they will never impose upon you that, look, I'm so big. Whether it's Ratna ma'am or Nasir Saab. I think an actor's body is always present. The mind has to be present. Because if you say that, oh, मैं इतना बह गया कि मैं उसका सर फोड़ दिया, वो नहीं हो सकता है. The more you get to know, the more you realize that you don't know. And I think it's a good place for me to be in.
Hello friends, welcome to Radio City and welcome to Now Streaming. Today we have with us Shardul Bhardwaj, a very, very promising actor, very talented actor, and someone who's grown rapidly over the years. So, thank you so much for being here, Shardul. It's really an honor to share the same space with you.
Thank you for having me, man.
So 13 Jan must have been like a big day for you, right? I mean, the theatrical release of Kuttey and Trial by Fire coming at the same time. Two very different characters. Even in the terms of the way you look, you know, the lankier one in Trial by Fire and you know, a little more, you had to put on some weight for Kuttey.
Yeah.
So how does it feel, you know, seeing these two great performances?
You know, Shlok, I'll be very honest, it's just absolutely humbling. It's just very, very humbling because I come from a middle-class bureaucratic family, right? Yeah, I was doing theatre for a while, but you don't really plan for these things, right? Like, nobody prepares you for this. Probably on the 13th, I would say I was numb. Because how do you react to things like that? Yes, I was quite numb. And right now it's slowly sinking in as you can hear the responses and things like that. But I think the main, and I'm not trying to be cheesy about it, it's really, really humbling.
Right.
Yeah, right. Like that you can be here, that you can be doing these things, and you can be doing these things with people you've admired all your life.
Right. So, you know, like you said right now, humbling experience, the fact that, you know, people you've admired, you've worked with them.
Yeah.
Now, when you see your body of work, when you see something like an Unpaused where you worked with Ratna ma'am, or a Kuttey where you worked with Nasir sir, and, you know, in Kuttey, the very interesting thing is that, you know, you have people from all demographics. Like, you know, when you talk about Nasir sir, Tabu ma'am, or an Arjun, or, you know, you and Radhika.
Yeah.
So, it's what different things do you take away from, you know, these different kinds of actors at different stages of their life?
वो पुराने घरों में होता था ना, जब हम लोग कोई बड़ा खाना होता था या कुछ इवेंट होता था, तो सारे बड़े लोग कुर्सियों पे बैठे होते थे, हम लोग बच्चे इधर उधर दौड़ के खेल रहे होते थे. मुझे तो वैसे ही लगता था, मैं और राधिका इधर उधर दौड़ के खेल रहे होते थे. What do you like? You just, and the best part would be hearing Tabu ma'am, Kumudji, Arjun talk about a certain era of Bollywood, you know, about which I did not have a reference point, and we were shooting in Film City for the longest time.
Right.
So I think, if I'm not wrong, Tabu ma'am shot her first Hindi film around that area and things like that. You would hear all kinds of stories, and you know, you get the sense of, what do you call it, the historicity of where you are, what you're doing, but in a very light way. The greatness of these people is that they will never impose upon you that, look, I'm so big.
Yeah.
So they make it easy, and I think that's one of the markers of their greatness. Whether it's Ratna ma'am or Nasir Saab, it's just a marker of their greatness, that they'll never impose upon you that, look, I'm so great, I've done so much, now you listen to me.
Yeah.
They'll treat you as an equal when you're doing a scene.
Right.
But also gently nudge you.
Fair enough. I mean, it's important to, like, you know, try to be a mentor to people when you're at a particular level.
Absolutely.
But it's also important to not, you know, run ahead of yourself, because when you do that, you end up being left back.
So me and Nasir Saab have also done a short film together, which will come out, and by a very, very fine director of and a very senior director called Vinay Shukla. So there was a scene, I'm not going to reveal too much, but basically the scene is, I have to see Nasir Saab's character and I should be, startled, right? But it's a bodily reaction. It had nothing to do with emotion, nothing. Bodily craft reaction.
Right.
We're doing that take, we're doing that take, we're doing that take. Wasn't happening, you know. Sometimes you get stuck somewhere. Wasn't happening. And then the director, Vinayji, said, take a 5-minute break, you know, so that you can come back to it. I was taking that break. I was standing on the side. Nasir Saab was also sitting on his chair. So he just called me, started telling me a story. He said, you know, like in some year back in the day, I have only felt a certain kind of presence. Let's not call it supernatural, but something that you might not be able to explain, kind of presence. And it could be my imagination or something. I'm not attributing anything to him. So he said that it seemed like someone stopped me from getting out of the room and my breath stopped for a fraction of a second. And he said nothing more. And we did the shot and it worked. All I had to do was to stop my breath for a fraction of a second.
Wow. Wow. Okay, I mean, it's one thing, you know, to have your performances, you know, it's one thing to have a great performance by yourself and put that effort into yours, but to know how to bring that out of someone else just by a mere anecdote.
Absolutely. और ये मतलब कुमुद जी को देख के, नसीर साहब को देख के वो समझ आता है रियाज नाम की एक चीज होती है और वो आपके शरीर में बस जाती है फिर आप फिजिकली बता सकते हैं.
So like, you know, you mentioned how you were like little kids running around, you have to navigate yourself, and it's so important to just be a co-star at one point, and then at one point, you know, just actually be in the scene and be the character.
Yeah.
Because I saw this one scene which was in this. It comes in the beginning of the film where Tonkra ma'am is inside the jail.
Right.
And you know, it's that very disturbing upcoming, you know, scene that is going to happen, assault. And before that, Kumudji is being held like that. That tu mujhe sikhayega. And I remember he would hold Kumudji like that, and he would be like, "Tu mujhe sikhayega," and then he would go to whack him, and as soon as Aasmaan would say cut, like, "Sir, aap theek to hai. Sir, sorry, sir." Okay. And you know, the way he will get into the character, and suddenly when cut is said, he'll remember. You know, I am with someone very senior to me.
But I think those scenes, those action scenes where you're actually hitting somebody or doing something, it's very important. It works like a team sort of a setup. We have to take care. If you are hitting or being hit, you just have to keep asking people, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And that makes for a better scene because that gives the other person the trust that I can also go and that other person is not going to hurt me.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm digressing a little bit. But it's just sometimes that, you know, it's something to think about. How do you draw that line, and how do you know when to draw that line?
I think an actor's body is always present.
Okay.
The mind has to be present because if you say that, "Oh, मैं इतना बह गया कि मैं उसका सर फोड़ दिया," वो नहीं हो सकता है. Because at the end of the day, अभी भी जैसे हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं, तो मुझे मालूम है मुझे वहां देखना है, ठीक है, मुझे मालूम है यहाँ एक कैमरा है, ये एक्टर का बॉडी का ट्रेनिंग है. और if you can't ensure the safety, the physical safety of your co-actor via yourself, कभी one or two slip-ups, of course, action में होता है, but if you can't physically ensure that, then how do you expect that person to be giving you? Because acting is reacting, right? So like, how do you expect that person to give you what you have to react to? That person will also be a little like that, no? So I think the actor's body and the mind has to be present. You can't say that, "Oh, मैं पता बैंड्रा में बैठा था, मैं चीजपोकली पहुंच गया." Can't do that.
Fair.
Yeah.
So, you know, just as you said right now, that, you know, you have to look in this camera and then you have to look in that camera, and actor's body is trained in a particular way.
Yeah.
You went to...
Or has to be.
Or has to
That's
be.
the ideal.
Has to be. Yes, ideally, fair enough. So, you know, like you went to FTII and then you did theatre training in Delhi before that. So, to what extent do you think does an actor need certain kind of training, at least in certain areas, in order to be able to carry out their duties.
See, these technicalities of hitting marks and lenses and your lights and things like that, you can learn it in 5 to 6 months of shooting.
Right.
You can do that.
Right.
You'll learn it on the job. Now, where I come from a space of, I don't think if somebody was to say that, oh, if you didn't go to a theatre institute or a film institute, you cannot be an actor. That's a bad way of looking at things. People can get trained. We have great examples. Manoj ji is there, and like we have great actors. But the actual question to be asked is, what do art schools do? Can creativity be taught? There's a saying, acting cannot be taught, it can be learnt. So, what do these art schools do? They just open up a space of creativity for you. That you can be introduced to various things. And you live in an environment of experiment. Where you can experiment, you'll be introduced to various schools of acting and things like that. A lot of world cinema, a lot of performance history. Now you can take and make what you can make out of it. So I think that's where, if not trained, then maybe an art school comes in play.
Well, like exactly the way you explained, right? It's something where you get out what you put in. The process, whichever any learning space that you're a part of, where they're just providing the space for you. It's about अगर मुझे वर्ल्ड सिनेमा से कुछ नहीं लेना तो मैं नहीं लूंगा.
नहीं, आप नहीं लेंगे. हाँ, और खास करके आपके जो peers हैं, your classmates, you learn the most from them. And I went to FTI, I learned a lot from the continuous coming in of alumnus who would come in, who actually practicing something will come and share it. And also, what happens is when you go to art schools, especially public funded art schools in India, that's the value of them. That anybody, कोई लड़का, मैं दिल्ली से हूँ, मैं इंग्लिश मीडियम स्कूल में पढ़ा हूँ, लेकिन कोई लड़का इटारसी से मेरे साथ बैठा होगा, उसका जो लाइफ एक्सपीरियंस होगा वो भी उतना ही वैलिड है और मेरे हिसाब से ज्यादा वैलिड है जितना कि दिल्ली के मैंने उससे ज्यादा सीखा है. My batchmates were from Kerala. Now they're doing work in Malayalam film industry. I learned the world from them,
Right.
So that is that space, and I'm still so thankful to be part of that class.
Fair, because sometimes you don't even know what you'll end up learning, and it's just thrown at you. Like
absolutely.
This is something that has really changed my approach towards acting or whatever craft that you're part
of. Again, it humbles you.
Right.
We city kids come from English speaking schools and we say that, okay, we know it all. Right? Like that's what we think.
Yeah.
Until you actually get exposed.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, okay, so I don't know how this is going to be received, but I got to point out this observation. There are people that I know, people that I've seen, who could not speak a word of Hindi at one point, that are starring in Hindi films right now. Right? So it's that, you can go to a fancy school, you can be in, amongst the most fanciest people, whatever it is. But if you're going to talk about being a part of Indian cinema, you've got to know what India is about. Not what your cocoon is all about, but what the whole spectrum is all about.
Because our films are about people, right? They're not about the public schools that you and me went to.
Right.
They could be about that also, but at least the films that I've done are about people, about the streets, and I'm proud of it. And I learn on each of the jobs, and every public institute, whether it's Delhi University or FTI that I went to, it contributes to that. It contributes to a worldview or a curiosity and an empathy towards your fellow human being, and that's that.
Right. So just how we spoke about techniques, being a part of how one tries to go about a scene, tries to go about a film, how one needs to a great extent, being a trained actor really gives you a head start in a lot of things, right? So
I'm not really sure about myself, maybe for others.
No, I mean,
a head
based
start.
on, I'm saying based on our conversation.
Sure.
I mean, someone who is, it's very basic, right? If I'm trained how to perform a particular task, it'll probably be a little easier for me than someone who's not as trained. not written in stone. कभी-कभी किसी का talent कहीं से भी निकल आता है and without.
हाँ, और कुछ लोग बहुत मतलब job पे भी बहुत अच्छा सीखे होते हैं. They've been mentored well or something like that, you know.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
But don't you think these techniques help you prepare for a challenging scene?
I'm still finding my grounding, man.
Okay.
And the thing is that, you know, what via whatever the film school or the little number of years I'm getting to learn from other people, one begins to feel that, you know, the more you get to know, the more you realize that you don't know.
Right.
And I think it's a good place for me to be in. Because each project you pick up, and if it gives you some kind of butterflies or heebie-jeebies in your stomach, then it's a good one to go after. But you're damn scared of making a fool out of yourself because you don't have any reference points, nothing. And I've been very, 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 I would say, fortunate that I've gotten those projects.
Yeah. So, I mean, in that sense, what do you think was, you know, okay, let's bring it to this film, right, Kuttey? What do you think was the most challenging scene for you in the film?
So, I was finishing Trial by Fire at that point in time and also prepping for Kuttey at the same time because pandemic had happened and everything was together, things like that. So, the direction team sent your breakdown, what day, what scene, whatever you call it, that thing, that list of things. So at the first scene, I called up Aasmaan. I said, man, is this the first scene that we want to shoot? And that is the scene that, if you will see the film, is the scene where there is a car crashing into another car, then there is a gun which is being taken out. I don't want to reveal much, but whatever. It's a 4-minute action scene with a very important talkie, right? That was the first scene of the film that we shot, and that was of course, then for mine and Radhika's character, that was the first scene we were shooting. So, I basically went up to Aasmaan and said, पहली दिन बेइज्जती क्यों करवाना चाहता है यार? ऐसे तो फंस जाएंगे. So he said, नहीं ऐसे मत बोलो, हो जाएगा. It did happen, but it was just for like 3-4 days I was just like, बस पहले दिन सबको समझ आ जाएगा, गलत कास्टिंग हो गई. किसको ले लिया यार? तो वो 2-3 दिन बड़े ऐसे थे. So like in terms of the build up to a scene, fair. This was one of the scenes I was just like, how will we do it? But of course, you get on set, things happen.
Yeah.
Well, now it's for audiences to decide how the scene is. But yeah, this one.
Like you said in one of your interviews, you said in one of your Zoom interviews that I'm not going to call it magic, but there's something that happens when the camera turns on.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
There is something about it.
Yeah.
I have no explanation for it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's metaphysical.
Yeah.
It's quite bodily only, but I have not understood it.
Okay.
Like you can just be, you can be sitting, and that's what we do. Like we conserve energy on a set, right? You're like this, action.
Right.
And I don't know, it's a beautiful.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that's that whole. It's a weird sense of the adrenaline that is coming from the nervousness, but the confidence that, okay, now you got to do it, so you will have to pull it off.
Or maybe your body has started, your body has started training itself in hearing action. Also, it's very beautiful to hear action, no?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful feeling because, again, I like the concentration, the collective concentration that occurs.
Right.
Just before action.
Right.
And that's where I feel that I'm part of a team. And everybody in that moment is concentrated on this one thing. And it's a beautiful thing.
Right.
Imagine 50 people concentrated on this 1 minute.
Right.
It's like you've prepped. It's the first take, you'll do it. And it's magic, yeah. I am really interested in the gig economy that exists around our country. The working class has virtually disappeared from our cinema. Suddenly you see that within the range of whatever films I've been able to do, the filmmakers who've made that film, not just me, have afforded the working class some dignity. And when you take dignity away from people, they become very dangerous. I'm not the voice of the working class. I don't think I can be. But what I'm interested in is there.